A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Rajya Sabha TV. In the next 30 minutes, we'll be taking you through the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilshi, and here are the headlines. Congress and BJP engage in a war of words over Sushma Swaraj's statement on the Lalit Modi controversy. Sonia Gandhi terms her defense as mere theatrics, while Rahul wages bribery charges. Suspension of MPs and controversial issues ensure washout of the third week of the monsoon session as well. Opposition's protests unlikely to die down in the final week either. Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets Tamil Nadu Chief Minister in Chennai, seeks Jayalalitha's support for the GST bill in Rajya Sabha. India decides to boycott the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association Conference in Islamabad to protest Pakistan's decision not to extend an invitation to the Jammu and Kashmir Speaker. And the US presidential debate hots up. Business tycoon Donald Trump dominates the Republican race by causing further controversies in the first debate. Our top story: a day after Sushma Swaraj clarified her stand on the Lalit Modi controversy, the Congress renewed its attack on the External Affairs Minister. Congress President Sonia Gandhi termed Sushma's clarification as mere theatrics, while Rahul Gandhi said that the whole matter was kept a secret as if it was a quote-unquote theft. For a protesting Congress, the External Affairs Minister's defense in the matter came across as mere drama. Replying to Sushma's question about how she would have done it differently, Sonia Gandhi said that she would also have done her best to help the woman, but without breaking the law. Swaraj found support from HRD Minister Smriti Irani, though, who said that calling an elected leader's speech theatrics is disrespecting the mandate of the people. In her statement in Lok Sabha on Thursday, Sushma Swaraj had said that she had not helped Lalit Modi, but his cancer-stricken wife.
It was a very nice speech, hollow speech, but it sounded nice. Sushma ji said Sonia ji would have done the same thing. As her son, I will tell Sushma ji that Sonia ji would not have done the same thing. Second thing, whenever there is some stealing that happens, secrecy is maintained by the thief. In this case, Sushma ji has maintained full secrecy. Nobody in the ministry other than Sushma Swaraj ji knew about this decision.
उस स्टेटमेंट को थिएट्रिक्स कहना अपने आप में जनता के मैंडेट का अपमान है। 1.5 मिनट का बाइट देना उनके लिए आसान है, 1.5 घंटा बिना किसी कागज के सहारे भाषण देना शायद मुश्किल।
Well, as expected, the third week of the ongoing monsoon session ended without business being transacted in Rajya Sabha. While the Congress slammed the government for double-speak on corruption, suspension of its MPs in Lok Sabha also remained the focal point of dissent. The government also hit out at the Congress for obstructing proceedings of the House.
The confrontation between the government and the opposition is far from over. Protests continued in the upper house over suspension of Congress MPs in the Lok Sabha, apart from the demand to remove tainted ministers. As the Treasury and the opposition benches exchanged verbal duels, the chair first adjourned the House till noon, then till 2:30 p.m.
House is adjourned till 2:30 p.m.
Even in the post-lunch session, the logjam continued. The opposition hit out at the government for failing to resolve the stalemate. The government too slammed the opposition for stalling the business of the House.
और सरकार का अहंकार है, इसलिए व्यवस्था नहीं हो सकती जब तक सरकार की तरफ से कोई प्रस्तावना ना हो, गतिरोध को तोड़ने की, तब तक कोई चर्चा, जो विषय हमने उठाए हैं, जब तक उन विषयों पे समाधान नहीं होता, गतिरोध तब तक बना रहेगा।
कि सदन में कोई काम नहीं होगा, देश के गरीबों के लिए, देश के कमजोर तबकों के लिए, देश के विकास का काम नहीं करना चाहते, ये प्रस्ताव कराना चाहते हैं आप? तमाशा है, ये प्रस्ताव कभी नहीं होगा और न इस प्रस्ताव के आधार पर देश चलता है। देश जो है वो विकास के रास्ते पे जाना चाहता है, विनाश के रास्ते पे नहीं। आप विनाश के रास्ते पे ले जाना चाहते हैं देश को।
Few private members' bill were introduced, but consensus could not be drawn even for discussing them.
The leave be granted to introduce a bill. Those in favor, please say aye.
The Congress members then trooped into the well, shouting slogans against the government. The chair was forced to adjourn the House till Monday.
House stands adjourned till 11 a.m. on Monday.
Prithvi Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the last week of the monsoon session will start on Monday, but it seems highly unlikely that any legislative business will take place even then. Adopting a very aggressive approach in Parliament on Friday, the Congress party has made its intentions for the coming week very clear. On the other hand, the government asked the Congress MPs to return to the House, but with conditions.
Friday saw Congress taking a more aggressive approach in Parliament. Their slogans were louder, and besides Sushmita Dev, Gaurav Gogoi and Jyotiraditya Scindia, many other MPs were in their element. It is clear from the party's new stance that the last week of the monsoon session starting Monday will see more confrontations between the government and the opposition benches.
जब भी चोरी होती है, चोर छुप के आते हैं। सुषमा जी ने जो काम किया है, छुप के किया है। मिनिस्ट्री में एक व्यक्ति को नहीं मालूम था कि सुषमा जी ये काम करने जा रही थी। दूसरा,
The government too seems to be in no mood to back down. In Lok Sabha, the government has agreed to the demand from left parties, Samajwadi Party and RJD to take back the suspension, but not without conditions. The government insists the suspension will be revoked only if the Congress agreed to not disrupt proceedings.
Government also is keen that the members who have been suspended to come back to the House, but the only way is at least some of them meet the Speaker and then assure the Speaker that they will cooperate in proper conduction of the House. Then the government said, we are willing to move a motion for withdrawing the suspension. That is the practice.
The problem started when on Monday the Speaker suspended 25 Congress MPs for 5 days. Post the suspension, some legislative business has taken place in Lok Sabha, but the upper house Rajya Sabha has seen very little work happening. And the situation is unlikely to change in the coming week. Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news, India will boycott the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association conference in Islamabad to protest Pakistan's decision not to extend an invitation to Jammu and Kashmir Speaker for the meeting. India has sought a change in venue, seeking cancellation of Pakistan's rights to host the conference. Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan and speakers of all other states have been invited to the conference. The External Affairs Ministry said this was against a rule in which all the speakers who are members of the CPA have to be extended an invitation to the meeting. The 61st Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference will be held in Islamabad from the 30th of September.
They have also demanded that Pakistan should forfeit its right to host the conference and the venue should be shifted to another country. The unilateral decision of Pakistan in not inviting Jammu and Kashmir CPA branch to the 61st CPA conference violates the provisions of the CPA constitution.
Meanwhile, the Congress has upped the ante against the Modi government on the issue of the Naga peace accord signed with the NSE and IM earlier this week. The three chief ministers of Congress-ruled states in the northeast, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh and Manipur, said that they were disappointed for not being consulted by the centre before signing the accord. Congress termed this as a case of gross violation of the spirit of federalism. The chief minister said that the peace process cannot bear fruits at the cost of territorial integrity of their states. They also sought to know the details of the agreement.
We would like to bring a lasting permanent solution. But for bringing lasting permanent solution, sorry, we cannot sacrifice our territorial boundaries.
Welcome the peace process. The peace process initiated by the Union government for to bring permanent peace solution to northeastern state. But without compromising any.
Yes, welcome the peace accord. Yes, even today. But before that, you should be consulted. Why it is keeping in secret?
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha and sought her party's backing on the GST bill in Rajya Sabha. The government plans to roll out the new tax structure from April next year. The Prime Minister also kicked off the National Handloom Day celebrations in Chennai and made a strong pitch for the industry, calling for steps to promote it globally and ensure rightful wages to weavers.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha at her post-garden residence in Chennai on Friday, seeking her support on the Goods and Services Tax Bill. Jayalalitha's party, the AIADMK, had submitted a dissent note to a parliamentary committee studying the bill. After sailing through in the Lok Sabha, the bill needs to get a 2/3 majority in the upper house to become a law. Being in minority in the Rajya Sabha, the government depends on the support of regional parties like the AIADMK to push through the key legislation. The Prime Minister was in Tamil Nadu to launch the National Handloom Day celebrations. He sought help to ensure handloom weavers get their rightful wage. Concerned over lack of adequate branding of Indian handloom industry despite its worldwide reach, the Prime Minister said there is need to take steps to campaign global levels.
Earlier, assistance of only about 60 lakhs rupees was being given for one handloom cluster. This is now been increased up to 2 crore rupees. In objective of all our efforts is to increase wages of our weavers. Increasing incomes, our government is also committed to extend robust social security cover to weaver families.
He also said that the government has announced creation of Mudra Bank for the micro, small and medium enterprises with a corpus of 20,000 crore rupees and a credit guarantee corpus of 3,000 crore rupees. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Without a quick break here, but still ahead, France has expanded its search around the Reunion Island, hoping to find more debris from the missing MH370.
Pak militants unleash terror in Jammu and Kashmir. Cloud after cloud on India-Pak relations. A threat to NSA talks later this month. Watch the big picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Let's get you a special report now. And the government will impose 10% import duty on wheat until March 31st next year. This has been done to curb imports and promote consumption of wheat lying unused in FCI godowns. Here are more details.
In its bid to clear the millions of tons of wheat grain lying unused and rotting in FCI godowns, the government has decided to curb the import of wheat by imposing 10% duty on it. A notification about the same was tabled by the government in Parliament on Friday. With this, the government also hopes that private firms that had signed deals to import over 5 lakh tons of premium Australian wheat will be deterred. The decision to import would have adversely affected Indian farmers.
ये जो फूड ग्रेन्स है वो सारा ही सरप्लस है हमारे पास, इसलिए जे इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी लगानी चाहिए थी, जल्दी लगानी चाहिए थी, अब भी लगा दी, अच्छा किया.
According to the notification, 10% basic custom duty will be imposed on the import of wheat till March 31st, 2016. With this, the government is expected to gain around 90 crore rupees as revenue over the rest of the year.
किसानों से खरीदा नहीं जा रहा था, मिल मालिकों के दबाव में ये कर नहीं रहे थे. अब इन्होंने किया, जबकि ऑलरेडी इतना ये खरीद चुके हैं और बाहर से आ चुका है कि अब इसका बहुत फायदा नहीं होगा.
The imposition of import duty comes at a time when speculation was rife that Indian traders and flour millers were keen to order another 5 lakh tons of wheat from France and Russia. Imports looked attractive as euro has depreciated against major currencies.
10% duty will discourage any further import of wheat, particularly when we look at the international and national price scenario. So hardly there will be incentive for the importers to import wheat, and this is a good decision, I will say.
As per official estimates, this year India's wheat output is expected to be 90 million tons, 5% lower than last year's, but still way above the domestic requirement of nearly 72 million tons. India's nodal department for food grain procurement, the Food Corporation of India, also has a stock of 40 million tons, twice the quantity of the country's buffer requirement.
Government is trying to achieve twin objectives by curbing wheat imports. First, it will support Indian farmers, and if reasonable amount of wheat is lifted from FCI godowns, then it will create necessary space for next year's procurement. Krishnanand Tripathi, Rajya Sabha TV, daily.
All right, for more on this, we've got Madhvi Sally, who's a special correspondent with the Economic Times, joining us in studio this evening. Madhvi, first of all, government claiming this move will actually help wheat farmers generate more money is what they're claiming as well. But the Congress says that the move has come too late. Is that valid?
When you speak to traders or analysts in the sector, of course, it has come a bit late. The country had a production of 91 million ton. And right now, stopping this, putting this import duty doesn't really make a difference. We're just importing 5 lakh tons till now. Out of that, 3.5 lakh ton has arrived in the Indian ports. Another 2 to 3 lakh ton might come as per the industry sources. It really doesn't make a huge difference for the sector overall.
All right, so the orders were already in, so this is a late move is what the traders at least are saying. We do know that some reporters also say, reports in fact saying that Indian traders, they were keen to order more wheat from France and Russia. So is this move in fact going to upset them? Does it look feasible now?
Of course, traders would be, particularly traders from South India are very keen to import wheat, cheap wheat, good quality wheat, largely from France and Russia. Of course, with this import duty, maybe in the short term, they might not do more contracts. But if globally the prices of wheat fall down, this 10% import duty might not deter traders to import wheat. Currently, the wheat that we have out of the 90 million ton wheat that the country produced this year, out of that 28 million ton was procured by Food Corporation of India, and more than 50% of that was not really good quality wheat. So the wheat that traders have been importing from Australia, recently some consignments might come from France, are good quality wheat with grains which are quite good, not shriveled, not broken, and not with high moisture content. So traders are looking to import good quality wheat, which is not there in the country. We might also see a slight spike in prices, not immediately, but in the near future, which could vary from ₹1 to ₹2 a kg. That is expected.
All right. So you were saying that this move could affect consumers in a few months' time. Could you give us an idea of how, like you were saying, ₹1 or ₹2, and by what time do we see this spike in prices?
The major rise in spike can be seen in the flour, the atta, followed by suji, maida, bakery products. But of course, when you speak to the association, traders, millers, they say that it wouldn't be as soon as a month or so, but before the festive season starts, that's a time when they generally increase prices, and that's a time when we might see an increase in prices. Products like pasta, noodles, macaronis, which require good quality wheat content, may also increase. As of now, none of the players would like to say how much, but the trade says it could be ₹1 to ₹2 a kg.
All right. And very quickly, Madhvi, also give us a sense really of what the government is trying to achieve. What are the main points, to make it very simple, is to avoid wastage? Because like you've pointed out as well, even at the moment, the FCI has a stock of about 40 million tons, which is twice the country's buffer requirement. This trying to control wastage, but at the same time, there are not enough godowns. And now with the rainy season, we do know how the state of the godowns are. That is also something that the government should focus on.
Right. In the current scenario, with really bad quality of wheat that was procured, more than 50%, as what the trade is saying, that was of not good quality, going as high as 80%. This stock would not last for many months. It would break, and it would, the grain would only be fit for animal consumption. So it will not be there for the human consumption. The quality will not be that good. So the trade actually wants that the prices should be further, the government, rather than imposing this 10% import duty, they should have actually lowered down the wheat, brought it down to 13 rupees a kg, rather than the current price, which is at 18 to 20 rupees a kg, to offload the stock in the domestic market. That is what the industry has been demanding.
All right, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thanks so much, Madhvi Sally, for joining us and giving us a sense of really what this story is about and what we can see in the few months to come as far as prices are concerned and how perhaps the consumer will be affected as well. Though right now traders are not giving any price rise details. All right, thank you so much. And now let's in fact head on to some more national news updates in Nationwide. The two BSF Jawans who were killed in the Udhampur terror attack were cremated with full state honours in their respective villages today. BSF trooper Rocky was cremated in Yamunanagar in Haryana, while his colleague and driver of the bus, Jawan Shubhendu Roy, was cremated in West Bengal. Militants attacked a police post in a remote area of Udhampur district, injuring two special police officers. The militants attacked the post in the mountainous Basantgarh area at around 9:15 last night. This attack comes close on the heels of the terror strike there when a Pakistani terrorist was captured by villagers. Justice Deepak Mishra, one of the three Supreme Court judges who had rejected Mumbai blast convict Yaqub Memon's mercy plea, has received an anonymous death threat. The Delhi police has registered a case against unidentified persons and started investigations. The government has now beefed up security of the three judges. Now on to international news, and in the US, the first Republican presidential debate was nothing short of a dramatic event. Business tycoon and presidential ticket hopeful Donald Trump continued to dominate the Republican race by stirring more controversy in the debate. He said that he might run as an independent if denied the nomination.
It was a feisty opening to the first Republican presidential debate. In a bid to bag nomination, candidates took potshots at each other in a bitterly contested debate. 10 of the 17 Republican candidates appeared at the Fox News' primary debate in Ohio on Friday, but it was Donald Trump who stole the show even before he spoke a word. Standing at center stage by virtue of his lead in opinion polls, Trump kicked off the debate by raising his hand, refusing to rule out an independent bid in the November 2016 election.
I cannot say I have to respect the person that if it's not me, the person that wins. If I do win and I'm leading by quite a bit, that's what I want to do. I can totally make that pledge. If I'm the nominee, I will pledge I will not run as an independent. But and I am discussing it with everybody, but I'm talking about a lot of leverage.
His defiance drew boos from the crowd and attack from his rival candidates.
Mr. Trump's language is divisive. I want to win. I want one of these people here, or the ones at 5 o'clock, to be the next president of the United States. We're not going to win by doing what Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton do each and every day.
He buys and sells politicians of all stripes. He's already, hey, look, he's already hedging his bet on the Clintons, okay?
And while the Republican debate was on, Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton was busy campaigning in Los Angeles. The US presidential election is more than a year to go, but it's already defying expectations. Political pundits, media outlets, and even the candidates themselves have become confounded by the way things are playing out. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's get more international news updates now in Global Buzz. France has announced a renewed land and sea search in and around the island of Reunion in the hope of finding more debris from the missing Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. The search comes after Malaysia said that a wing section found on the French Indian Ocean island was from the missing jet. In Beijing, relatives of the missing flight, the passengers marched to the Malaysian embassy to show their frustration with the search progress. A truck bomb exploded near an army compound in the center of the Afghan capital on Friday, killing at least 8 people and wounding hundreds. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the explosion that ripped through homes and shops. Around 400 people, many wounded by debris and flying glass, were rushed to nearby hospitals. North Korea is creating its own time zone, Pyongyang time, moving its clock back by 30 minutes. The change will go into effect from the 15th of August, the 70th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japanese rule. North Korea is in the same time zone as South Korea and Japan, 9 hours ahead of the Greenwich Mean Time. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is in Hanoi today to mark the 20th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between Vietnam and the U.S. Kerry met with top Vietnamese leaders, including the president, to discuss bilateral and regional issues. The communist country's capital is Kerry's final stop in his Middle East and Southeast Asian tour. Right, on to some cricket action now. And Ishant Sharma almost repeated what Stuart Broad did to Australia on Thursday against the Lankan board President's 11. He took 5 wickets in just 21 balls to help his side bowl out the host for 121 on day 2 of the 3-day tour game. Ishant struck twice in his very first over, removing both the openers for a duck. The pacer kept up the good work by picking Upul Taranga in the next over and then got Lahiru Thiramane and Kusal Pereira to reduce the host to 10 for 5. At the end of day's play, India were leading by 342 runs with a score at 112 for 3.
I think it's pretty good. More than overs, if you get the wickets in your bag, it's really important. So I think it's give you a confidence, so that's what I did. I'm just sticking to the basics. I think when you're playing this level, it's more important if you stick to the basics, so it will be easy for you to perform in this international level.
And now let's get you some more sporting action in Sports Beat. Australia are on the verge of innings defeat in the 4th Ashes Test. Their top order collapsed once again in the second innings. At tea on day 2, Australia were at 138 runs for the loss of 4 wickets. Ben Stokes took 3 wickets, while first innings' hero, Stuart Broad, picked up Steve Smith. Australia still needed 193 runs to avoid losing the series. Earlier, England declared at 391 for 9 in their first innings. The Indo-Romanian pair of Rohan Bopanna and Florin Mergia enter the men's doubles semi-finals after receiving a walkover at the Washington Open. The third seeds will next take on winners of the match between American top seeds Bob and Mike Bryan and Filipino-American pair of Treat Huey and Scott Lipsky. The 24th edition of the English Premier League will begin from Saturday. Manchester United will open the new Premier League season at home to Tottenham Hotspur. Meanwhile, Chelsea will begin their title defence at home to Swansea City, who will be looking to repeat their sensational opening day exploits from last season when they won 2-1 against United. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night.